Everybody, welcome. I'm AZD, also known as Spider to my friends. This is IMC Nation. We're a worldwide movement, okay? A movement of ideas, okay? Memes. You know what genes are? Genes are those things inside your DNA, or are they in the DNA, or DNA makes the genes? They're together, okay? And your genes on Earth have their own agenda. They have their own plan, okay? Their job is to be immortal. I don't know if you know that. Okay, let me tell you some evolutionary psychology. You know what happened the other night? Remember those super good-looking girls I was talking to at the table, the other club? So one of them says out of nowhere, the one with the thin eyebrows, she says out of nowhere, she comes up with this. She says, I wasn't even bringing it up. I don't know how it came up, but she says, well, have you heard of evolutionary psychology? Oh, have I heard of it? I've read every book and wrote it. I said, yeah. She goes, that's my passion. That's what I'm studying. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, okay? So, conversation went. So, evolutionary psychology would tell you, it's a branch of psychology, not known by too many people. I highly recommend it if you're going to study psychology. No psychology on earth works. Well, let me try again. It does work, but the purpose of psychology was to make mankind more suggestible, because it started back in time to try to figure out how to control the population. If you understand where the science, like what was the original thesis, like what are we doing? Let's make it so mankind can be controlled. That's psychology, okay? And there's a problem with that, in that when you exert effort to control people, you immediately open the door to being controlled, right? That's how the universe works. If you haven't noticed yet, people like to talk about karma. They like to talk about treat others the way you want to be treated. But to them, those are just words. Have you ever seen a Christian who knows the Bible but can't apply any of it? We've seen them in the church every day. Every day. People walk around with a cross, completely ignorant of what Christ was, is, and would be. That's fucked up, okay? Have you ever seen Muslims that are completely just ignorant of what the Quran says? And what they do is they take passages and justify their behavior. That's not what those books are for, okay? Have you ever seen anybody claiming to be a Buddhist? Man, go to San Jose, where I was from, and you'll see that almost all the Vietnamese nail ladies are Buddhists, okay? You walk in, they all have their little shrines everywhere, but not one of them understands the ideas of Buddha and materialism. You get it? So that's different. It's one thing to just say the words. It's another thing to feel the words and have the experience. 1 second, okay? One second. Okay, yeah, I know. So anyways, back to the lecture. Where are we at? The words that don't mean anything. Yes. And what was the example I was giving? Yeah, before that. That was it. Evolutionary psychology, okay? So check this out, okay? So in evolutionary psychology, the theory that's very much applicable, like you can apply it because I apply these things, is that the genes, the DNA, seeks to replicate itself, make another version of itself, a better version, right? So let's say a beautiful, healthy woman, right? That would be a valuable set of genes, right? She's healthy. She's what Mother Nature wanted in a woman, whatever that is, right? Then a healthy male, right? He has the health of a male. It's different, right? She's supposed to give birth to a child. So her body is supposed to be set up for that, to give birth to a child, to go through that pain, to go through that turmoil, to be able to raise the child, nurture the child. She's designed for something we're not designed for, right? He's designed to protect her and provide and make sure that that child and her survive long enough for what? Long enough so that their genes, which made it with each other, it looked like a man and a woman were having sex. That's what it looked like on the outside. That's the surface of the water, right? You're looking and you see a boat over there. There's a girl in it. There's a guy. They have sex. That's the surface. If you go deeper into the ocean, you'll see what happened was inside their genes were creating chemistry in their brain, looking at each other and seeing something that attracted the DNA. This is the reason why we say attraction is not a choice, because it's the genes. And you are walking around inside or around a machine that's run by a program of genes, the DNA, RNA, and all kinds of NAs, okay? So this is current science. You can look it up, and it works because I use it. This is what's happening on Earth. So everywhere you look, all the animals have their DNA. They have their genes. And they're involved in an activity all day, 24 hours a day. This is all that's going on Earth. When you came to Earth, I would have given you a brochure. I think in the future, as we take responsibility for planet Earth and we continue to evolve as beings, one day, maybe, as you're about to arrive here, one of us will be there standing guard. I will say, wait. You say, who are you? I'm on my way to jail. You say, I know. We created a little station on the way to jail so I could give you a pamphlet. Now, here's how you're going to behave in jail. Here's how you operate your body. Here's how you operate your emotions and mind. You're going to have to go get locked up. You have to. But here is a map out. And more than that, here is my personal card. Dial up, and I'll be there with IMC Nation, group of masters, ascended masters, and we will guide you. And each one of us is specialized in a field. But all together, we're a symphony. We're the colors of the rainbow. This is the future of us. Now, if that sounds fantastical to you, it's actually not that fantastical. And I'll tell you why. Because in the tradition of Earth, this is how people live, and you just don't know it. In fact, if you travel from here to India, you would know, not currently, because currently they're making a one global society for that reason, right? So everybody eats McDonald's no matter where you go. Do you understand that globalization works through food also and music? It actually works through food, music, and arts. That's how you change a culture. So if I can go to India and have McDonald's the same way I'm having McDonald's in America, then I can go to Japan, then I can go there, then that means something has changed. Because Japan is sushi, noodles, soup, whatever they have, right? And if I go to Iran, Persia, where I was born, and I say, where's the McDonald's? And they have a McDonald's. See, Persians, they don't eat McDonald's. They eat rice and kebab and bread and things like that, right? Now, coming to America, first I was in Kuwait. It's another country. And in Kuwait, I remember, now this would be, I was around 8 years old, okay? 6, 7, 8, I was there. 5, 6, 7, 8. During that time, one day my dad says, we're going to go to McDonald's in Kuwait. Now, that's the first time I heard the word McDonald's. I'm like, what's that? All excited. He said, man, there's this hamburger place in America, because he had been in America, lived in New York. He said, the hamburgers are so good, there's this thing called a Big Mac. So now he puts the kids, which is me, and my sister, 7 years younger than me, so she was born there, so she'd be around 1. So I remember her there, 1 or 2. And mom, and we get in this little car. It's like a Ford Escort at the time. Its version of Ford Escort, it became a Ford Escort. And we drive to McDonald's. Now, what was interesting is, to us over there, McDonald's was like, it wasn't a fast food. It was a restaurant, right? We're going to go to an American-style hamburger. And we walk in, and there was all these lights. You know how they have the boards and stuff like that? And the seats were different, and the people were in uniform. And this is cool. I didn't like the Big Mac because I didn't like the sauce. But I loved the Coca-Cola, I remember. When that fizz hit my mouth, it was like, oh my God. That's what I remember, the fries and the Coca-Cola and the shake. It was like a strawberry shake I got or something, right? When we left McDonald's, I had no idea that McDonald's was trash in America. To me, it was the greatest thing. Then they opened a Safeway in the country. The country is so small, it's smaller than Campbell, where I used to live in. The whole country. But it's made of oil. So it's one of the richest countries in the world, and one of the smallest countries in the world is Kuwait. So people that live there, they live very wealthy. very wealthy. So then we go to Safeway. And we drove up to Safeway. Okay, there's Safeway, and there's everywhere else, which were these little stores that are called Bazaar, B-A-Z-A-A-R, right? You still see those here. These are like little markets. But Safeway was like half a block, like how you see here. And those bazaars were like one store. You'd go in and get some fucking cucumbers and cheese and bread, go to the next one, get some meat. That's how it was. And then there was this giant parking lot, the big S, red S, I remember. And it was the first time I experienced doors that open by themselves. So imagine a kid walking up, holy shit, this is the future. Walk in, and what they did have, I remember, is they had an escalator that went across the floor. You know the straight ones where you walk, sometimes they have an airport? They had one of those. And remember, this is one of the richest countries in the world. It's like going to Dubai right now, right? Whatever they have is going to be really high class. So they had a very high class Safeway. And it was enormous. It was like 30 of those little bazaars put into it. And so when I went to Safeway every once in a while, it was a fucking treat. And then they did the ultimate. Toys R Us. But it wasn't called Toys R Us. It was actually called Kids R Us, believe it or not. You know that somehow? Yeah. Kids R Us was Toys R Us. Same branding, everything the same. Instead of Jeffrey the fucking giraffe, it was a koala bear, I remember. So when we went to the toy store, oh man, you know, what a feeling. So big, so enormous. Where do you start? But I remember what I wanted. I wanted a remote control motorcycle. There was a little guy on a motorcycle, and I just thought people on motorcycles were the coolest looking things I've ever seen. It had that movement that I like, that freedom, that speed. But there was a problem. My parents couldn't afford it. No problem. Okay? We go and buy some other shit. I forgot what it was, right? Come back. Kids R Us, Safeway, and McDonald's. It was like a 5-star restaurant to me. It was a place like heaven where you could find any kind of food and chocolate and things you never even knew existed with brands you never heard of. And then Kids R Us was like, you die as a kid, you go to Kids R Us. You know what I mean? And all of this is somewhere in the back of it, my genes that are young at the time. The genes are old, but my experience is young, right? And if you don't know that, 5-year-old kids, 5-year-old boys, 4-year-old boys, they actually fall in love with women. I recalled that yesterday. I recalled being around 4 years old before I left my country when I fell in love with my cousin, older cousin, an older cousin. And I fell in love with her. I started telling my parents and her that I want to marry her. I would grab her face and kiss her cheeks. That was my first experience of, what is that? Now, what's so interesting about that, you got to get this, is that the genes in my system were ancient. They'd been passed down from mother and father, mother and father, mother and father, mother and father, in a brand new vehicle. You understand? So those are genes. And your genes seek to replicate themselves. They seek to bond with another opposite pair, male, female, XY, and go there and combine and come out stronger. So each generation is supposed to be stronger than the generation before it. If you go to text me, I can look at it right now. Each generation is stronger moving forward. Supposed to be. You're supposed to take on the wisdom of your ancestors. Okay? Now, I want you to see how educated you are in life because of your mom and dad. Take a moment. You see that? How much were you taught? Now, if you really searched in your mind and you went, you probably did what any person would do. You went looking in a room filled with all kinds of debris and shit, all kinds of junk that you don't use, clothes and underwear that's too old to use, and you went and you found a relic or something. You said, right here, my dad showed me discipline. Well, congratulations. Okay? My mom showed me love. No shit. No shit. Did you have to go look in the fucking room and go past all the junk to find something? Some of you, that door is closed. When I said, go find out what your parents saw you, you don't want to open it because it was alcoholism, it was rape, it was molestation, it was abuse, it was not being there, it was abandonment. Fuck that. I'm not even looking over there. See, there's a problem with that. Is you carry the genes of those people, and those genes have their own code. You are a consciousness. You're above it, okay? But no one told you that. When you have a thought, you assume you're thinking. You're not thinking, you're having a thought. There's a thought that has come up because of the environment. A song, a smell, a sound, a touch, a combination thereof. Something has triggered the genetic code for survival. And it's now telling you to think this so that it can get you out of there or move you towards it. And this is why your relationships don't work. And that's 3 lectures ago. Love, when you fall in love, has to be a choice. You see that? It has to be a choice. Attraction is not a choice. Love is. Love is a choice. And if you don't believe that, then you go to your own holy books, and each one of them would tell you that their God, whichever God they're talking about, had all the reasons to not love his children. Because he could create again, and they went against him. But it was his choice to love his children. We can't say God doesn't have a choice. That would be the weirdest thing in the world. If God doesn't have a choice, then we're done. Okay? So we know that when God loves, he loves out of choice. And one says God is love. Well, God is also vengeance. And if you don't believe it, then go read the books again. Any of them, any of them. You could pick up the Indian books from India, from Persia, from Africa, from fucking Japan. Take each ethnicity and go find the books that talk about their gods. They're capable of both. Because what kind of God would it be if it had no ability to do anything besides love? That's not a God. That's a needy human being, right? That's a scared human being who doesn't allow themselves. One of the ugliest things you can hear when you're out, and we're out all the time. We are scientists, pioneers, explorers of human emotions, mind, and relationships. We've taken that on, and we're good at it. We're the best at it. That's how we change lives so quickly. And one of the ugliest things that a man can hear from a woman, and vice versa, even women to men, both. Yet I hear them say it, is this. Ready? I love everyone. That's not good. That's not good. You know why? Because we can see clearly you haven't reached that state of Jesus to love everyone. That's different. And even Jesus, what did he do? If they didn't accept him, if they didn't follow that path, he let them have their hell. Right? His love was in the form of forgiveness. He didn't hold it against them, but he wasn't shy about telling them either. He called them hypocrites. He told them that their path was wrong. He corrected them. When he faced demons, he rebuked them. Rebuke is like to reprimand or go in an aggressive sound towards something. When you rebuke, you don't do it, well, you know, it'd be a good idea for you to get out of that man. I know you're a demon. You also have life. God also created you. You're a fallen angel. He didn't do that shit. In fact, one of the most peaceful men to ever arrive on earth, or one of the most peaceful stories ever told about a man, Jesus, he even turned to a tree and he told the tree to not grow and not give any more fruit. He killed the tree. He killed the tree. And when he faced the ocean, he rebuked the waves. You get it? And so whoever the fuck they are, whoever created psychology would be connected to that, just so you know. Psychiatry is evil. They only took pieces of it that would fit psychology and psychiatry, which is to make you a slave. right? Now, when we're in the age of computers and www.knowledge.com, now being ignorant is different. 200 years ago, my forefathers, they couldn't interact with the rest of the world or go research and see for themselves. Maybe their maximum conversation was their own tribe or family, and maybe they ventured out and walked somewhere the way I would do and met some people, right? But they didn't have access to what we call the Library of Alexandria. There's a reason for that. Because when Alexander the Great was conquering the world, what he was also doing was gathering knowledge. His teacher was Aristotle, one of the greatest philosophers from Greek tradition. That was his tutor, his mentor. And wherever Alexander went, if he found a plant or animal or anything that they didn't have where he was at in Greece, he would send some to Aristotle. Now, how did he send it? He didn't go to UPS or FedEx. It would have to be, he's on a horse, right? With an army. They arrive. He picks up a plant. Here's what he would have to do. Take this to Aristotle. And that guy would have to travel back through all that. See, when you start doing the work by analyzing it and looking at it, you start seeing that life requires living, activity, and action. It's not just a virtual reality where you sit back. It's both. It's a virtual reality that's in your mind, and then there's an actual living. And yoga is a union. That's what that means. Or in martial arts, they say physically, mentally, spiritually as one. That's what that means, to unite. Or you have the chakra system. They all have to be aligned. Boom, 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 bing. Right? And so there's this ladder that you and I have to climb in our consciousness. If you don't know who Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is, he is one of the greatest teachers that I've used in this life and still use, right? He has a technique called transcendental meditation. It's woven in to the advanced classes that we have here. All the top guys, they're practitioners of the Maharishi Transcendental Meditation. In that tradition, I'm going to read to you from a book. And we were going to go deeper, but yep. This is a book from Patanjali. Patanjali is credited with being maybe the greatest yogi that ever lived, one of the originals, the one that supposedly got it from the deities, right? From the Naga themselves, which are half snake. He says here, 41, from perfectly concentrated meditation on the correlation of hearing and the ether. What's the ether? It's that substance of life, the quantum field. From perfectly concentrated meditation on the correlation of hearing and the ether comes the power. They don't want you to know that, right? Powers to you and I are supposed to be Marvel superheroes or Star Wars. No, my brother, powers is what I have. Those aren't powers. Those are not even very strong compared to what we can actually do. We have to learn our system. First, we have to bring all the teachings to our own universe and live as a manifestation and a child of God or the Creator. That's the facts. That's what we do. From perfectly concentrated meditation on the correlation of hearing and the ether comes the power of spiritual hearing. Now listen to this. Physical sound, we are told, is carried by the air or by water, iron, or some medium on the same plane of substance. Are you tracking with me? Okay. But then is a finer hearing whose medium of transmission would seem to be the ether. What I'm reading to you, I experience in my life. I hear with my ears and I hear with my spiritual ears. I'm a practitioner of Maharishi's technology, an advanced practitioner of over 10 years. So this is real to me. This is how I operate IMC Nation. This is why we're successful. I hear things. But listen to this, because I don't know if you're familiar with this. But then is a finer hearing whose medium of transmission seems to be the ether. Perhaps not that ether which carries light, so it's not even the thing that light travels through. heat, and magnetic waves. But it may be the far finer ether through which the power of gravity works. Let me show you or explain something to you about gravity that I realized yesterday. This is so powerful. You guys know that light travels at a certain speed. So it takes about 8 minutes, they say. Am I right? We have a scientist here. 8 minutes for sun's light to hit us around there. Okay. So the sunlight you're getting has traveled from the center of this galaxy. From the sun.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be the center of the Milky Way, or no?
Center of our solar system.
Our solar system. The center of our solar system, which is in a galaxy that has other solar systems in it. Isn't that cool when we talk like this? This is science. This is how they should have taught it. Check out how fascinating this is, okay? In the center of our solar system is our sun. It's a solar sun system. And we got Earth being the third planet out. The center to Earth is so far away, we can't imagine reaching the sun right now, even if we fucking could withstand the heat, right? The sunlight you feel right now has taken about 8 minutes from the time it left the sun. And it's traveling at an astonishing rate. Can we look up the rate? The number. How many miles is that? Do you know?
86,000 miles.
It's 186,000 miles per second.
So that would go around the Earth 7 times in a second.
Okay, so if I'm going to go from here to Los Angeles on an airplane, it takes an hour, right? This goes around the Earth how many times?
7 times in 1 second.
7 times in 1 second. Ready? 1/1000. That's how fast light travels. And that's called the speed of light, right? Sounds fast until you get into something else. Gravity. Ready? How fast is gravity? Instantaneous. When you go around Jupiter anywhere, gravity doesn't take 8 seconds. The moment it touches you, pulls you. Isn't that amazing? It has a range, and if you go outside its range, you're there. But the moment you enter the gravitational force of that thing, it's an immediate pull. So that's a little bit deeper insight through the meditation for this. The far finer ether, which the power of gravity works. For while light or heat or magnetic waves traveling from the sun to the earth take 8 minutes for the journey. I have not read this. It is mathematically certain, no way is going to say that the pull of gravitation does not take as much as 8 seconds, or even an eighth of a second, exactly. The pull of gravitation travels, it would seem, as quick as thought. So it may well be that. It may well be that. In thought transference or telepathy, let me read that again. It would seem as quick as thought. So it may well be that in thought transference or telepathy, this guy's all about telepathy. That's a thing that only like Marvel heroes have. Professor X, Jean Grey, AZD, Spider, same thing. It would seem as thought. Okay. So it may well be that in thought transference or telepathy, the thoughts travel by the same way, carried by the same thought-swift medium. The transfer of a word by telepathy is the simplest, ready? Simplest, get this, and earliest form of divine hearing of the spiritual man. As that power grows, which means it can grow, and it does, and as through perfectly concentrated meditation, the spiritual man comes into more complete mastery of it. He grows able to hear and clearly, listen to this, clearly distinguish the speech of the great companions, this is capitalized, who counsel, which is give you advice, and comfort him on his way. Welcome to the people that lead IMC Nation, who are the masters above us. They may speak to him either in wordless thoughts or in perfectly definite words and sentences. There it is. We experience it. You can and you should also. All right? We're going to go into the all men's class. See you in the next class. IMC Nation. Be the best. Fuck the rest. Let's go.